Good day, folks. This is Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today I'm going to be talking about tree swallows. That's the topic for today. And I'm getting a lot of people asking me about all the particulars about tree swallows and why we're interested in them. And I'm going to cover that from A to Z. And to go back to the beginning, welcome all you new subscribers or new people that have found the channel. If you like what you see today, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I'd appreciate it. And maybe a like. Today we're looking at tree swallows. And why is a cattle farmer or a sheep guy, any type of livestock person, why would you be interested in tree swallows? Well, a big reason is of the fly control. So an adult pair of tree swallows can eat 8,000 flies a day. Now those are flies that are sucking the blood out of your animals. And when you get an enormous amount of fly pressure on your animals, you've got a bird out there that can eat them, that nature gives you for free. I think you should look at that option. Before I get too deep into this, though, for those of you all that are questioning, maybe you're not in the tree swallow home range, just Google it. You can go online and Google the home range of the tree swallows, where they nest at. If you're too far west, too far, I think they go all the way to the East Coast. I'm not sure how far south they go. But I do know they winter in South America. There is a ton of them up north. There's more tree swallows north of us than we are here in central Missouri. I'm coming to you toward the end of March. We've got a blustery day out there. The wind's blowing and the sun's out. I love it because it's actually drying out the ground a little bit. We've had rain every day this week. I think we've had around 8 inches in basically 5 to 6 days. Folks, that's pretty tough. But you know what? We're making it through it. We gave the cows a fresh piece of stockpile this morning, so we're looking pretty good on that end. We just hope we get, they're saying 4 days of sun maybe, so we're hoping for that. Anyway, on the tree swallows, the house itself, when you put up your tree swallow house, we're talking about a house that looks like this. Okay, we make our own. This is all made out of eastern red cedar. And I do have a video, I think I put it up about 3 weeks ago. You can go back and look. There's a video I've made. It details exactly how we built this house. And I go through it step by step, how to make this, okay? What I like about this particular tree swallow house is it's easy to put up. It's easy to make. You can make it out of anything. The cedar, the eastern red cedar, I've got houses up now that are 15... I'm not older than that. They're like 16, 17 years old, and they're still just like the day we built them. Because cedar doesn't rust. I'm sorry, it doesn't rot. Of course it doesn't rust. And it's got a really neat clean out mechanism. You just pull this nail out. That's drilled at an angle in there, okay? When you pull that nail out, you can pull that open, okay? And there's your opening. So you can reach in there. I haven't even cleaned this one out from drilling the hole. You can pull the nest out. So when you put a tree swallow house up, you can mount them on. They need to be about 6 feet off the ground. And if they're 6 feet off the ground, you're going to be in pretty good shape. You can go as high as 8, but don't go lower than 6. And we come in the spring, usually it's about the middle of March, and we use a spray bottle, and we put, for every 2 gallons of water, we put 1 cup of bleach, okay? That's the dilution, 1 cup of bleach to 2 gallons of water. Then we just put it in a spray bottle, and as we're going down to the pasture, we'll have a big jug of our spray water, and you just reach in there, and you just give it a couple squirts after you've pulled the nest out. So why don't we clean the nest out in the fall? Big reason not to do that. In the fall, when you go into the winter with these nests, I'm going to put this nail back in. That keeps that door closed. When you leave that old nest in there, there's tons of birds use these in the wintertime when it's really cold. We counted 7 bluebirds fly out of one. There were 7 bluebirds in there on a cold winter morning. It's like 10 below zero. And they heard us coming, and I kind of went close to one. I mean, they just started flying out. I started counting them. I couldn't believe it. But see, if you leave that nesting material in there, they can stay warm. Now, in the springtime, you want to pull that out and treat it with bleach water. And the reason you do that is in the bottom of that, let me pull this back out. In the bottom of that nest, there's going to be mites from last year's nest, little mites. And when the baby tree swallows are hatched, before they even get any feathers on them, the mites will migrate up through that nest and suck the blood out of your baby tree swallows. It's better not to even put the house up if you're gonna, all you're doing is killing baby tree swallows. So if you're gonna put them up, clean them. And I don't recommend cleaning them until March. We just noticed this week, let's see, today's the week, Saturday. So we saw them on Wednesday just show up. They were late this year because of all the rain and cold weather. They actually send scouts out, the tree swallows do. And next thing you know, I mean, you just got them all over your farm. I never saw a tree swallow until I put up a house. Don't get a tree swallow turned around with barn swallows. Barn swallows are a different bird, but barn swallows are good too. And I'm looking at how we can get more of those. I've already got a plan for that. That'll be a different YouTube video, but I've got some ideas on tree swallows, or barn swallows. But on tree swallows, the birds will come when you give them a cavity. Okay? Go to that video I made earlier. You can see exactly how to make this house. It's really a slick deal. So I just drill a hole through the top here, and I drill one on the bottom, and I screw it right to a pole. Now I use fiberglass, scrap fiberglass post. I've seen people use conduit, aluminum conduit. You can use a steel pipe. You can use wood, I guess. The thing about a tree swallow house is you don't want to put them too close to forest where there's lots of trees, because they don't like using them as much because the predators. There's more aerial predators around those woods waiting to nail them. They feel really comfortable using a nest box out in the middle of your pasture. Fence lines, if you have fence lines going across your pasture, that's perfect. Because in a fence line, a cow can't rub on the post. And we get cows that rub on our post. But folks, our cows are only there for 8 or 9 hours, and we're moving, because we're moving our cows twice a day. Of course, sheep, you don't have to worry about a sheep rubbing on the post, so they're not going to do that. So the tree swallows, they can have up to 2 clutches a year, okay? Two different groups. If you put the tree swallow house up, it needs to be facing southeast, okay? You want that hole facing southeast. That's the way they like it. The spacing on your tree swallow houses can't be any closer than 100 feet. If you put them closer than 100 feet with each other, these tree swallows are very territorial, and they'll fight. They'll fight each other. And they'll spend so much time fighting each other that they don't do a really good job of fly control, maybe even laying a clutch of eggs. They're just fighting. But what's crazy is you can put up a tree swallow house here and another house right on the back side of it, and if you had a bluebird nesting on the back side, tree swallow's fine with that. He don't mind having a bluebird for a cousin or for a neighbor, but he don't want a tree swallow in there. It's just the way it is. So, 6 feet, I didn't put that down. 6 feet minimum. That's minimum. 6 feet off the ground. I like going 7, 8 feet. I don't know, it seems like the birds just like them a little higher. That's part of the deal on that. And, I tell you what, there's lots of different people out there that are talking about different sized swallow houses and things like that. Go and find one that you like, but I really like this design, and I'll tell you why I like it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of those boards are exactly the same size. Cut them all the same. And of course, the bottom of it's smaller. And then you've got your back that mounts to your post. It's going to be longer. It has to be to give you room to put your screws in there. When you put a screw in here to hold it to whatever you're going to put it on to, or maybe it's a bolt, put a washer on it. Put a washer on the screw before you go through, and pre-drill your hole. If you just run a screw through this cedar, it'll split. So pre-drill your hole, put a washer on your screw. That washer gives you a lot more surface area on your wood. So if your wood would crack, let's say in 10 years you get a little crack in there, that house could come toppling down because the screw's not holding it. But if you got a washer on there, you're good to go. It's not going to fall off of there. So that's part of our fly control is the tree swallow house. I love birds. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't. I really do. I enjoy watching them. The darn things are just beautiful. The males have this beautiful blue hue to them. Got the white breast. They just are the most graceful and darty flyers you've ever seen. It's cool when you turn them into a new patty and you see all the insects coming up out of the grass. And they don't eat other stuff besides fly. The tree swallows are just dive bombing over the top of the cows. They love living with the cows. They like being out in the pasture. Okay, they basically are a miniature purple martin. That's kind of how they fly. Barn swallows are more like this. Okay, they're more just gradual. They're beautiful to watch too. But the tree swallow's darty. He's a cagey little bugger. I mean, they can be like here and then go straight up in there and then go that way. I mean, it's just acrobatic. I mean, if you want to go spend a night watching tree swallows eat flies over the top of your cattle or your sheep, I highly recommend it. It's kind of soothing to the soul too. So we're looking forward to the migration. They're going to be coming at us now. We've seen the scouts this week. We get it in the 70s. We're going to have hundreds of them. And they come back to your spot. Once they find good housing, they'll be back. They'll be back because they were born on your farm. They'll be back each year. And each year, the more houses you put up, the more you have. We're up to 450. This winter, we made another 190. So we're going to have those going up this spring. So we're gonna keep pushing this thing. I'm not going to go out here and spray all this fly crap all over my cows. I'm not going to put a fly rub out there, a chemical for my cows to rub on. It's not good on the soil. All that stuff ends up in the soil. Folks, we are microbe farmers. That's what we are. If we will farm microbes in the soil and not kill it by pouring all this crap on our cows all the time to keep flies off or knock the parasites out or whatever, you don't need to be doing that. And I'm going to stair-step a little bit on this talk with the parasite control in your animals. People really, I've had a few emails here lately, people really, you just can't run livestock without vermin. That's not being very, conscious of your animal health. I'm like, the heck you can't. I've been doing it for 18 years. I got a beautiful herd of cattle out there. I keep the ones that can make it, and the ones I don't, I get rid of. So put a little pressure on them. And the animals that have the real runny tails, a lot of manure on them, okay? The animals that have a long winter hair coat on them by May, end of May, 1st of June, that animal needs to be gone. You need to get rid of that thing. It's got parasites. And you can pour Ivomec down her back and kill all those parasites in her, and you got to do it again in 6 months. And then the calf she has, by God, you got to do it. It's just a dead-end cycle. And in the meantime, you're killing what? You're killing your manure pads. The most valuable asset on your farm. You're killing it. You're killing it. Use tree swallows to get rid of the flies. Use your calling. You got to be the predator in your herd. You need to get rid of the animals that cannot make it on your farm with your management practices. Those animals don't care if you make any money on them or not. They really don't. All they care about is waking up and breathing the next day. It's up to you. It's up to you. So don't get married to your animals. Follow nature. And here's, I'll end with this. In nature, or look at your farm as everything that you can attract to your farm. Every species that you can make a home for on your farm. It supports 8 additional species. Folks, that's important. That's hugely important. Ian, my friend in Africa that helps us with our grazing school, Ian's got like 18 different species of big game now living on his ranch. And it's all compliments of the way he grazes his cows. This huge mob of cows that he moves around, 4,000 to 6,000 head, has improved his soil so much that now all the neighboring wildlife is coming and making homes on his farm because he has better grass, better soil, better microbes. That's what it's about, folks. Building healthy soil, healthy plants, healthy animals, and healthy people. Isn't that cool? Follow nature. I highly recommend it. Now, I think I've covered everything on the tree swallows. If I missed anything, I'll make up for it later. But, for you all just new to the channel, welcome. Again, hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see you down the road. And we're going to get through this virus thing. Folks, keep your chin up. Do something positive today. Whether it's going out and cutting some brush on the fence row, do something positive to gain a little bit of a step. It's like a ladder. Each day it's going to get better, and we're going to get through this just fine. In the meantime, I had a guy last night talking about, he's stuck at home, and I'm like, I ought to be building fence. I'm like, yeah, this is a great opportunity. Get after and get you some fence built this spring. If you're not able to go to work because this quarantine thing or the homestay, social distancing, whatever you want to call it, get out on your farm. Get out on your farm. Start putting in some fence. Get it ready for those animals. Because guess what? Spring's a coming, and the grass is getting ready to explode. We can do this, folks. See y'all down the road.